What's going on, my NABUers? It's been a fun week. We're getting ready for VCF East, and there's been lots of production, specifically Production Dave. He's been helping out quite a bit, doing a lot of things, and a few others, which I'll mention in this video. So one of the greatest things that we've done this week is I have released the latest internet adapter. So go on to nabu.ca, grab it, because it's awesome. Now, if you scroll down to the bottom of the NABU Internet Adapter page, if you're ever wondering what the updates are, there is a complete update list, the changelog here. So you can see that blah, 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 we're doing something here, we're doing something here, we're doing something here. So here I've loaded the latest internet adapter. Let's zoom in here. So a few things graphically have changed. One, we have these nice fonts when you scroll through to preview different sections, like the NABU logo on the top there, news. Also, if there's a new update, it'll say the word update in pretty big letters. So I think that's just kind of cool. It just adds some fun ASCII type 80s vibe to the internet adapter. And then we also up here show the current selected channel and also a description for each channel. And on top of the UI changes here, we can also notice that there's a download all things button. What this does is this will download all the things. All my base will belong to you, because what'll happen is when you push this, it's going to download a file that's about 50 megabytes. And when it expands, it's going to be around 400 megabytes. And what's going to happen here, I'll just do it to show you. It's going to download the file, and then it's going to extract it. So this is every single file that's available on the nabu.cloud server. And that means it'll extract those files into your cache folder. If we're to see where your cache folder is, it's under your Documents, NABU Internet Adapter, and then it's called Cache. So this folder here will now contain every single thing that's ever existed. And as you can see, it's starting to expand here and extract. So if we go back here, you can see there is an update telling you how many files it's done and how long it's going to take, percentage-wise. Once all the files are extracted onto your drive, what will happen is you can run your NABU without an internet connection, and every single file, including music, images, slideshow, CPM, Cloud CPM, everything will be cached on your drive. It'll be inside this cache folder. Now, if you ever get an internet connection again and you restore internet, well, it will automatically update any files that have been changed since your download all things. While this is continuing, oh, it just finished. Let's jump into settings and take a look at some of the things that have changed in here. There's help for each tab, so you can find out exactly what the tab is. I mentioned this in my last video. This will help people get up and running, understand what all the different features are. So let's go over some of the new features that are inside of here. Under RetroNet, we now have some information here about what RetroNet is and how it works and how you can place your drives in the store folder. So if you don't want them overwritten when your Cloud CPM drive is overwritten when it loads. And then we have a new tab here called Headless. And Headless is, first it's going to be turned off, which means you want to turn it on if you want to use it. And you get a different selection of a bunch of different headless apps. In this particular case, I'm going to use To Use Headless, and it'll give you a description over each one. So IMAGUI was created by Production Dave. And this one is great and has all the features of Headless. So I kind of recommend using that one because it's much nicer than mine. But mine is the To Use Headless, or these ones which are samples. And you just want to check that off. And I'll explain what Headless is in a second when we get back to the NABU. Then when I go into CPM Drive, we have an option here for real-time update. So I mentioned this when I did the first version of a CPM drive. I said that I didn't want it to be updated in real time because I didn't want to corrupt any files. Well, there were some people asking about it, so I've added it, in which case now you can turn it on and off if you want. It's on by default. So let's take a quick look at how Headless works. So you see when I click save, it mentioned this is the actual config file. It shows you all the different settings. You can see here that it says we're using To Use Headless 240403. So onto our NABU, let's power up. Headless is a menu you can select that will load whenever the NABU loads. I had mentioned this back in 2023 in February when I demonstrated the first version, but I stepped away from NABU for a while. So I know that there were some other Headless who have been created since then, but I had some ideas of what Headless really should have been like. So this is this is real Headless. So what we have here is, oh, static. So what we have here is your UI to the NABU world, essentially. And you can control it from using either the keyboard or your NABU joystick. And a few things that you'll notice in here, well, we have the news in the bottom, and I can scroll left or right to scroll through the news. And there's little icons for all the news. When you go into a category, for example, we'll go into games. When you're on the back icon, it'll read out here the description of that particular category. So you can find out what the categories actually mean. And when you go on top of an item, you'll get the icon for that item, as well as a description about that item. And we've had Production Dave create a few different icons as well. For example, he made a nice Arkanoid, a new chop lifter, a real cool, funny snake, which I like a lot. It's cute. And Tetris. Also in this menu, you can scroll down to Headless. And here, like it mentions, you can try different headless before you switch to the one you want to use inside of the settings. So for example, I'm going to go to IMAGUI from Production Dave. And as you heard, the NABU spoke and said what it's doing, which is kind of cool. That's why it's called Talkie Headless. And this is Production Dave's headless, which I think is really awesome. See, like you can see, it's a lot nicer than mine. You can scroll through, same idea. And when you click on it before you launch it, it'll show you the information about it, and then you can back out. So if you go to the top, let's see, back out of here, go to the top menu, maybe we back out again, there it is. We can actually go through the news as well, so similar as mine, and launching applications. So if we want to go back to the headless we were using, which is the default headless, all we got to do now is press the reset button on the NABU. So now it's going to go back to the headless that you have configured. So for example, let's go into, for fun, what are we going to go into here? Let's go into Games 2, and let's go into NADUM.
Loading NABU.
So NABU Doom is loading. And as you can see here, we're in NABU Doom, and I can use my ASDF keys here to drive myself around. And what I'll do is I'm just going to push the Q button on NABU Doom to exit. And now it's going to reboot or restart the NABU. Now, if your program doesn't have an exit button, you just push the reset button, like so. Now, another thing that we've done, because VCF East is coming up here, so we wanted to get a few things done for VCF East. One of those is under Demos, which you can also launch from Cloud CPM. I'm going to launch it from here, is the new NABUCAM. So NABUCAM can now print.
Loading NABU camera.
So this is not the CPM version. This is just the regular NABU version we launched from the headless. So you can launch it again from Cloud CPM if you want as well. So we're going to select 0 for the camera. And we'll have to wait a few seconds here for the camera to initialize. And this is the camera that I'm currently using. It's nothing special. I just have it on one of my robots, and I just wanted something to be able to test with. Okay, we're up and running. So you can see me sitting here holding my phone. I can grab the camera here and put myself on it. So these are, nothing's changed as far as this. You can hit H to go into help. And then of course you have your R to go into remote desktop, and arrow keys around, so you can arrow key around in remote desktop mode here. But we're going to hit R to go back into the camera mode, and you're going to see under H we have two different print options. So we have PCL and ESCP. So depending on the type of printer that you have, newer printers like lasers will use PCL. Even some of the newer dot matrix printers will use PCL as well. But if you have an older dot matrix, most likely it's going to use ESCP. That's more, I guess you would say, correct for the time frame of the NABU to use ESCP. I don't have a printer connected to my NABU, so what I'm going to do here is demonstrate how we can print using MAME. I have the MAME instructions inside of the description of this video, so you can check it out. So what I've done here is I've loaded up my MAME file, and I have two windows. On the right side here we have what is the output, the printer, and on the left here we're going to have our actual main NABU MAME window. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to navigate into demos and launch NABUCAM, and I'm going to select 0. Now the camera's up and running. You can see me holding my phone, dancing in front of the camera. Now what I'm going to do is I can hit H for help, and I'm going to print to our software printer in MAME using ESCP, because the software printer does not support PCL, so do not hit P. Instead, we're going to hit the letter O. And here I go. So first I'm going to hide my help menu there. We don't need that. And I'm going to hit O. And off we go. So this is printing the screen. If I would have had the help menu open, we would actually be printing the help menu as well. And it's sideways, so it's really supposed to be like that. There you go. There I am. Now it cleared off the screen, but don't worry, it's actually still in your computer. So go into your MAME folder and select the snap folder that's in there, NABU PC, and here's going to be all the pictures that your MAME has ever taken images of, and it's also going to save all of your prints. So for example, here's the one we just did. Huge shout outs to Henry and Labomb, who have been super patient with me yesterday because I don't have a printer and I wanted to be able to get this up and running. Henry had a really good idea for VCF East. People who visit the NABU table, we're going to allow you to get your picture taken with the NABU and get a printout of it. So that's really awesome. So here's some examples of how much work went into making this thing get up and running last night. Henry went through a ton of paper printing off, and this is actually when he started getting things working. So this is when we were starting to celebrate and I cracked a beer. Prior to this, there was a lot of blank sheets, a lot of stretched images, a lot of mess coming out of Pewter's printer because, well, that turned out to be his cable, and also a mix of the fact that I didn't know there was a status byte to read on the printer port. This was inverted, and even the characters were backwards. So the bits were backwards. We started getting some things making sense. And then if you go back even further here, you'll see this was actually really exciting because, as you could tell, it looks like something, but all of the bytes were reversed because we're taking the VDP memory and we're converting that into bitmap images that we're sending to the printer. So I had the bytes reversed on the first go when we actually got something printing. Prior to that, it was just a fun nightmare because I implemented ESCP, not knowing much about it and thinking that it would work on older printers, but our newer printers, but it doesn't. So this is funny because we pictured, at one point I had kept sending Henry to print off more pictures, and I just kept sending out blank sheets of paper. So Labomb jokes saying that the printer's shooting out papers too fast and he can't get to the off switch. So it's Rambo shooting papers at him. If we scroll up farther, you'll see example of how many sheets. So this was actually a big deal because I was able to print just a bitmap. And it doesn't look like much, but it's a single line, and that's actually my bitmap, what I defined. So this was a really big deal and a highlight at one moment. But prior to that, and you can see here, this is the bitmap split up. We were chatting about like how this turns into this. And then prior to this, we have just a ton of blank sheets of paper. Tons and tons of these. And at one point, I think Henry just let about 7,000 sheets of paper run through his printer because the software was just pumping out empty sheets. As you can see, this was a lengthy conversation, but we got it working in the end of the day, and I'm going to make a few other tweaks to it. we should have, it is up and running right now. So we'll have it up and running for VCF East. So make sure you come to Henry's table, the NABU table. I'll be there. We're also going to be making some changes to the software in real time. So we're going to be doing some extreme programming, some real-time programming, because I want to make some changes to the NABUCAM for the way it prints. I just don't want to do it today because I have a pretty busy weekend. So we're going to make the changes while we're at VCF East because, hey, why not? YOLO. Another thing that I've done is, oops, we'll go back into RetroNet and Cloud CPM. So I think you might have noticed this. There's a couple different Cloud CPMs, right? The F18 for 80 column. Then we have a fancy load and a light load. Fancy load is the one with the Cloud CPM logo and the do-do-do-do-do. It's cool when you have someone around and you want to impress them and make it look like your NABU is high tech versus just a blank loading screen. That's the nice one to go with. But if you want performance and fast, the light load is really quick.
CPM Drive.
Minus the fact you have to wait for the NABU to speak and tell you what it's doing in talkie mode here. But this is the Cloud CPM. What I've updated in Cloud CPM is CloudGUI. So CloudGUI hadn't had an update in a long time, and I just didn't want it to be left alone because I know that I mentioned one day I'm going to actually add a lot more features to it and turn it into the BDOS of CPM, which, you know, it's going to happen. Trust me. You know me. So what I've done here in this new version, which is 1.6, is I've added under File, get up there. You can also hit the shortcuts, right? Like just hit the letter F if you want. New. I've added a D drive because the D drive is your, you know, your software drive for your host PC. So that's there now. And I've also improved the way the interrupts work for rendering the image. I know that in the past people have sent me screenshots of like things going crazy and haywire on the screen. That was because there were some issues with the VDP and I was exceeding the VDP interrupt time. So I fixed that. So we have a much higher performance code, optimized the crap out of it last night. So I think that you're not going to get that problem anymore on real hardware. MAME is way more forgiving, and that's why when I program in MAME, I'm able to let those things go because I don't realize it's a problem until, you know, I get onto the real hardware. Once I get in the metal, that's when I find there's problems. So this is working fine. You can copy files between different directories and different user areas, and you can also copy files between the internet adapter and different drives. So I like this. This is a graphical way to do it. I hope you enjoyed the tour of the new internet adapter, and I will see you on Discord, right? Come on, join us. It's a lot of fun. And of course, those who are wondering, yeah, we are getting summer. It's hitting us hard today in the last week. So that snowfall we got, it's almost gone. And for those who are also wondering, they wonder what this is. I've got a lot of messages about this. This is actually a boat lift. It's usually out in the water, but because we get ice, I bring it to shore. So right now, this is here, and my boat's in the back, and my boat goes on here in the summertime, so I can raise it and lower it. Those are solar panels. And it actually has a little Bluetooth module, so I can monitor the voltage of the battery on there and everything. It's pretty cool. And these are my Sea-Doo ramps. So I put those out in the water too, and my Sea-Doos go up on there. Okay, everyone. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.